원시 미긴 같은 대마다긴 좀더라 어디 양자 직시 근데 제가 어다 비엔나 미긴 거로 자와시단 지어라 어디 직시에 하나라
Lexington Mikin
다 미긴 저
Ah,
자와시단
okay. So last time we went over a bit the observed object condition, the apparent condition, the immediately preceding condition for a eye consciousness. So we're going to, this time we're going to explain a little bit the empowering condition and the object observing condition and how they're connected.
다 당고 미긴 뭐뭐디 미긴아
Yeah.
미긴치 다 뭐뭐치 아니 미시디 라 교순상고 미긴다 긴 대마다긴 했어
Yeah, yeah.
다 긴이 가려서나 시와당 유니가 저선이 됐다 바로 전지
Okay. Cons plus object.
근데 이게
The Tematakian liquor.
대마다긴다 미긴라 저선이잖아 다 긴이죠 다 긴.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay.
아니 진짜 이게 순상수는 아니 시와지 미시지 뭐라다 이제 이거들
This one, but you know.
상수는 제대로 시와 미시지라
Okay. So we have the observed object condition, which for an eye consciousness perceiving, apprehending the color blue is the color blue. Right, it's in the first line of the chart here. So we have these three conditions. We have the observed object condition, the empowering condition, and the immediately preceding condition. So the job of the empowering condition is to connect the consciousness with the object that it's perceiving. So the eye consciousness with the color blue is connected by this lens, the immediately preceded, the empowering condition. So basically, when you have these three conditions that come together, the next moment, the eye consciousness arises. The eye conscious. If you have these three conditions in the chart, then the eye consciousness apprehending the color blue will arise in the next moment.
나 저거 흔들서 보라서 다 긴게 미긴다 대마다긴 저거 흔들서 보라나 뭔가 빼려서 하는 거는 그냥요 장시로
It's like telescope. Yeah.
어디나시 장시나 배조소 먼저 통보다 장시면은 통보면다 등산은 미는 렌스라 주의스도
Yeah, the takin, right?
다긴 어디나시 다긴 소다디 미기 탈라 미 나고디 탈라 또 시에서
The color do.
컬러 나고스도 나고 탈라 해서
That's the one port, right?
당황
The one port. Okay. So to explain how this empowering condition works, right? How does it effectively connect the consciousness with the object? Well, if you have an example of a telescope or glasses or something like that, but we're using telescope here, right? So if there's an object a long way away, you can't see it, but if you put the telescope there, that enables you to see it. So this empowering condition works like that. So from the Tibetan perspective, Tibetan like scientific perspective, it's around the iris, the black part of the eye. There's a small circle. It's in the chart here. No, not right, not quite right. That first, okay. Anyway. He's not happy with the standard of the chart. That's okay. We'll do it again later.
I don't really fast. I don't drop.
Oh, rough.
Rough.
Yeah, he thought I was just asking like roughly, so he'd do it fast. Thought I'd made a chart out of it, so he's.
Exactly the yom and next day I will try one text say.
Oh, okay.
An
Okay.
example, everything I give you.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
There's a difference between the eye organ,
Mm.
the eye, like the eyeball, the eye organ, like you were saying, this iris, which is the pupil sort of thing, and the eye sense power. The eye sense power is a hidden phenomena, whereas the eyeball is like a physical thing that we can deal with, eye organ, and then eye sense power is a hidden phenomena that then goes to the mind, that goes from the eye to the mind. Yeah, so the eye sense power is not a physical organ that we can say iris or lens or something like that.
So det, hakusang?
Yeah, how is it?
Okay, so det ni mig di zugro, any migi wampo, ro. You know, di migi wampo di zug chamo, ro, and di mig di zug rakpa. So then it di keran di mig senrikpa di mig tang di lekpa travel. So you know di mig tang migi wampo di chikpa mare. So then it kande hoku di migi wampo any mig travel yore or kande hoku.
미가 옹보디 제가 속배 탐으로 와. 속 탐으체. 아니 그 외역이란 신지. 외역이란 신.
Like light.
외역이란 신. 아니 그걸 쏟아진 데지 권연나 외수도 타고 어디가를 위해서 뛰대. 딜라 단대 가지 미 나쁘지도 와대.
Right. The iris.
나쁘디 라 차장을 치고요. 나쁘디 타내지도
Colorado.
콜로다지 그래서. 디기 아니 바와디기 아니 유통야 단 차장회 치고 그래서.
So the wampa the mig nupatigire.
되게 이 유주 통시발 렌테 아니 시베 유진체도 코치고 그래서 지상 알아서 더워요. 디만 민수부 누가 냠도 냠도 미게 오통문도. 그러니까
가
온거
포고 청청 the baby.
그죠? 미게 로 첨부 차나 미게
okay.
오통문도. 그래서 나 수부 누가 냠도 수부 나와 냠도 미게 수와 아무 수와 누가 냠도 수 여고 주도고요 말아.
Okay, the wampa nupa madro. The capsula the wampa nupa.
냠도 수부 누가 냠도. 그 덴바 만화대 덴바 통부도. 다제 망고 제라고.
Okay. So yeah, this the eye itself is like more gross form, whereas this eye sense power is a subtle form. So it's something like light, right? And around the black part of the eye, I guess it's the iris, right? There's a circle, a small circle that is what, in its subtle form, so you can't actually perceive it. That is what we call the eye sense power. And this is what allows the eye to function effectively. So, for example, when people are very old, right, as they get older, then the power of this sense power goes down, and that's why their vision declines, right?
믹시게 첨부 소고다. 믹시자제 렌스 쳐다 통고다. 네 갈래 간다. 믹시자에 먼저 차로다. 타고 누워베 냠으라고.
Okay, so then they need like thicker and thicker glasses, and eventually, like they have to have like some giant contraption, and then at the end of the day, it's just forget about it. It's not working at all.
That is that in those that really sheshin out. That the mixing so toya so the taran goyone ko de nuwa chumbu de jutugo 인지민지 그 타니고 대고 말이네. 다른 거 싱통거래 몽보 통거래 남주 통거래 남주 수시 가고 통거래 짐바 가고 통 언제 속이 믹통해야 돼. 다른 거요네 언제 통도 열어 봐. 통단데 열어 봐. 통단데 대체네 니고 디게 숨제 다디 미겐데 다겐데 뭐 디게 숨도네 제라 아니 미시드 두두 열어 봐. 다딜라 저들 왕시 미기 왕시 미기시와 미시 있어. 두단데다. 이제 미시기 속단데 이미지 타니고 뭐 다른 거요나 통거요 레스트.
So when it comes to this eye consciousness, the forms that we see don't necessarily have to be close, right? We don't have to be physically close to them necessarily. we can actually see things quite a long way away, right? Like quite a long distance, we can see objects, especially if they're large. So so in terms of the eye consciousness, we don't have to be particularly close. But when these three conditions, the observed object condition, empowering condition, immediately preceding condition come together, then that will produce this eye consciousness, or Migi Wangshe, like eye power consciousness.
아 consciousness 는 되고 말해.
Migshe and Migi Wangshe chikpure, right?
미 원시의 미신 지고.
Okay. Yeah, so it can be said two ways in Tibetan, basically eye consciousness or eye power consciousness, but they're both the same meaning. So I'm just going to stick with eye consciousness
consciousness 자산은 지고래잖아.
because it'll be a little bit confusing if I mix it. So eye consciousness is produced.
다 되네 나시예요. 나디라.
Yeah, so
디에 지고래. 다베 다디 미 거기 미견으로 차래.
right.
디 단단한서 디 리모트 다다데 동카부시하는 것이니 동요라 부스타죠. 디마 카불로신 유나지. 그 다데 데비어에서 디 인산 티리벨라고 알아.
Oh, okay. Right. So, it vibrates, you mean, like. Right, so there's this kind of sort of cone shape, like a horn. Okay, so it's like this way up, I guess. Well, not sticking out of your brain, maybe. And the sound comes in here, and this kind of impacts it or vibrates it, I guess. And then that's when we can actually hear the sound. So it's so the Migi Wangpo. Yeah, no. Sorry, Nagi Wangpo. Okay, so again, we need the three. We need the sound itself. We need this ear sense power, and we need the consciousness. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, he's right. Okay, so in this case, mig means, well, it's still the empowering condition, but in the Tibetan it's slightly different. So it would be like eye empowering condition, then you have a ear, auditory empowering condition. So you have a visual empowering condition, then you have an auditory empowering condition. So yeah, so there's different. So there's 5 different empowering conditions along the 5 senses. Yeah, and we can hear sounds that are a long way off. Again, we don't have to be particularly close. So for the nose, right, so the condition is the sound, the observed object. Right. Sang? Yeah, like this. Yeah. Right. Right. Okay. So there's kind of like this paper airplane looking thing, right? That's in your nose like this. Subtly, not like obviously, right? So the smell, whatever it may be, actually has to come in contact with the nose sense power, right? So the what do you say for smell? It's not auditory. Smell. Well, it's basically smell object condition. I can't think of the technical term. So the smell object condition is the smell. The empowering condition is this paper aeroplane in your nose, and then the immediately preceding the condition again is the consciousness.
지시 디 제가 온보디 제가 제일 샤고 뭐 자들 이제 다와 채웠으면 게 다와 나시지 별
Yeah. Yeah.
다 이제 그때就是제가 제대로 저 고국 주에서 오라
Right.
디
Right.
되게 좋아하는 거 대단 저 칼라즈다 그 토고 요라
Okay.
계신다 지고래 샤고
Yeah. So for this taste sense power, the other conditions are the same. I mean, obviously it's food rather than visual form, but those are the same. This one, the taste sense power is like a crescent moon shape, and it's not actually in the tongue. It's at the point like where the back of the tongue meets the throat. That's where you actually experience the taste. So that's where that is. And then the kalagtandi tukoguriro. Yeah. And then with this, the object of taste, the food, actually has to come in contact with the sense, the taste sense power.
근데 저거다 저 칼라즈에서这个咱们的传的有东西这个这了传接嘛
Okay.
传上嘛的新不叫让俺们就我上嘛这个在的领导的可能是上单的
So you got to check this for yourself, but we like saying that when you taste something, the taste doesn't actually come on your tongue, like the tip of your tongue. It actually, you experience taste here, like internally, where at the like top of your throat type position. But you got to check this for yourself.
Yeah.
So this thing, this crescent thing, and
Yeah.
then, like the nose, the paper airplane thing up your
Yeah.
nose, they're not like physically observable, like scientifically they can't go. Oh,
So
this is what we're
so Senrik badi wangpon nga di hakogido tatogyo.
단다다 가고 갈래를 싱그리 다 내일 입이어와 입이어서 다 체릭에 통그리 갈래를 통그리
Well,
단다다
yeah.
통그리 나면 하고 막
Right.
탐으로 와
Right.
콜라 마음발라 니 통그 가서는 콜라 섭다 입이어와 입이어서 먼저 제일 빠제 잡초라
Right.
제일 통그리 해트
So in theory, it's observable because it's form, right? It's subtle form, but it's still form. So in theory, it's observable. Whether the scientists have actually observed it or not, he's not sure. But it should be, in theory, observable because if you have these days, like we're getting more sophisticated equipment and can perceive all sorts of things.
shape.
Yeah.
입이어와
Oh, okay. And-
입이어서 그 발렌토라
Yeah. So because it has a shape, then you should be able to observe. You should be able to take a photograph of it. Essentially, if they've developed the right equipment and observed it, it's theoretically possible. Whether it's been done or not.
You give very famous what can I say that? No. You pay very expensive camera by keep Emma.
And then you can stick it up your nose,
Emma can take photo, you know.
up the nose.
David, you put a little bit of money, then buy very expensive, you know, sado, taking photo like that, you know.
You'd love
then,
it.
then maybe something like that.
One question.
Question, yeah.
If you hold your nose, like we do this thing where you eat like different coloured jelly beans, you hold your nose. When it's a
Yeah.
horrible one, you can't taste it unless you let your nose go.
Right.
So no, it's true.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You get like
Yeah.
a lime green one or like a sick one, and then you're like, ready, 1, 2, 3. Oh, and then you can
Yeah.
taste it.
yeah, you-
So do they link with each other?
So you can't taste anything while your nose is closed,
No.
right? So did Jenna, right? Didn't say Yongi Mare, Kalaksana taste your
Today,
mare.
man.
So then he carried Jenny, right? And he DJ, then he, oh, Yongi, right?
Can't taste without smell.
Yeah.
Test, you put the test account.
Yeah.
He says you can't taste without. If you
No, you can't taste without, if you do this, you can't taste. So,
I think that maybe it can't test smiley test, you know. Smiley test.
smiling to smelling,
Yeah.
smelling.
Cubo smell test, you know.
Yeah.
Cubo ngamo dozo nyonto ma. Chidang kuni logadaro. Ronyoya da tinyoya logaro.
Right.
Chile korala chigoro ba yanga tinyoya chigoro. Kuni do you
Okay.
Do you see?
Yeah, so this, although they're separate, right, you can't say the smell and the taste are the same. Clearly they're connected in some way. So, yeah, this is why probably when you close off one, you it affects the other. I don't know. It probably doesn't cut off taste completely.
I saw
Like if you ate a whole
funny,
chili, you'd
funny,
still-
funny TV show, funny TV show, and some people they're very yucky food, and if they give some dollar like that,
Yeah.
and they try to like they leave there, then they come warmer, This looks a little bit crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a crazy show.
They give $100.
Oh no, I think he's talking about Fear Factor. You remember that old one?
But science has examined the tongue, and they know where you taste. They've examined exactly which taste is
Where's it?
on the side.
This.
Not at the back down here, but at the sides of your tongue. Front's got some taste, and then
So
the back's
like
got
these
other
two?
taste. Yeah, it's got receptors, different receptors they've found along the sides of your tongue, and a little bit at the back, but.
I think modern standards make more clear. Checking, form easy to find. A Buddhist said they shape similar like that. And tests come like that. But there is some connection. Otherwise, this is how to kind of joining. One working, one said test.
So they'll find it soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Modern sound is more, the technology is more powerful. This is amazing, right? Some part. See the, the one ear, in the, see big megaphone, similar big tree, like that. I saw in etc. Modern sound is building big, because of a shape of the chamber. Megaphone like that. I put my hand and I only one here. Similar big pillow, like that, big body. This hand looks big, similar house, like that. Imagine, making. There are lots of hall, out in the hall. We see looks together, out one hall there, joining together like that, no touching together. Buddhism exactly say like this: taste, smell, and body touch, right?
Yeah.
And a body the subula cat there,
Right.
on body subula cat level.
Yeah. So the tactile sense power that pervades the whole body, right? So the pakpachipure or somewhere.
Subu chazana cat there.
Okay, so all form, like the whole body.
That the that nache, jeche, na jeche, and lug yora. The you the injimiji table, you tie
Okay.
your name is
So for the
nyon to go.
right, so for the nose, the smell, the taste, and the tactile sensation, these three actually have to come in contact with the object, direct contact. If there's any gap, they can't experience them.
When you do a when you do tiny with the part did as your today, did on onboard the tiny when you would and it go tiny was in a judo where the tried to do that they were. When you and day pass the did there to the susus kaga de do dentist.
Oh, okay. However, they don't actually become the same substance, so they don't get mixed together. They're still separate substances, so they're just in contact. Like two fingers touching, they don't become the same thing, but they're touching, right? They're in contact, but they don't get mixed together. They're still distinctly separate substances.
That digital one sheet, that.
Okay, so that's the sense powers.
That one sheet like where the Karasana mix it almost subject, Tawa Telatine, most Chiga, Sheva de la one sheet, Kodan de Lenshan in the water.
Zugla.
Subject Tawa, the Ombu Tawa Jeva,
Okay.
the Ombu Tawa, the Ombu Tawa, the Ombu Tawa, Luigi Ombu Tawa, J Ombu Tawa, de la subject Ombu Tawa Zero, Ombu Tawa, the Chena, Jessico. Subdindera Mare Kora Bedi, Shanino Yondoro, the Tamu Shigio. Dila Dene, that Sheva Jetum Yedila, one sheet, one bus do, Sujin Tawa, Dila Dene was Sheva.
Okay, so
one sheet.
yeah, so the sense powers, like they're very subtle form, but their characteristic or action is to clarify, like to make the object clear, and then this sense consciousness can arise. So they clarify the object of perception, and then the sense consciousness can connect based on that. So this tangwa, this turns like to make clear, basically. Okay, so these are non-conceptual consciousnesses. These 5 consciousness. Talk me in a shepa yimbe kabro. Alright. Talk me shepa. Alright. Sorry. I'm getting debated with here, but so yeah, that non-conceptual consciousnesses, right? So all of these sense consciousnesses are necessarily non-conceptual consciousnesses. The first 5 sense consciousnesses. So now we're going to talk a bit about conceptual consciousness. Alright, so we're going to meditate a bit.
Which kind do you want to meditate? You want to pizza meditate or momo meditate? Momo meditate. Maybe cup meditate, you know. I think this better. You first see 1 minute, maybe look this cup, you know. Your eye just focusing what kind of this eye you judging. Did you see clear this cup? I don't know. You look this cup, just directly. This is the Migi cups in the mixture is that it?
So this is eye consciousness apprehending a cup.
Which was focusing meditation.
So just look at the cup basically, and then you have this eye consciousness apprehending cup. So.
Now you eye close, make some right?
Yeah.
Make some jet, the power the yield it. That number the desk now, the coming to job, that's everything is a come job. That similar power the matin budget.
Right.
Shenda Karishan chance.
Okay.
Potential matters.
So right.
Maybe choose down, method, tape down, children friend at the college channel. Poverty, potential matters.
So instead of having a serious meditation, we're going to have a little bit of a play around meditation, right? So your job now is to think of anything else except the cup. Anything you want, like a pen or whatever it might be, but you're not allowed to think about the cup.
Should we look at the cup or no?
You close your eyes.
You know meditate the object except the cup.
Yeah, but mix them, bro.
Mix them.
Yeah, close your eyes and think of anything except the cup.
Oh yeah. That opposite it. That cup some dan shida some je dan show
All
mas.
right. So now you're only allowed to think about the cup and nothing else. Off you go.
Eye close is good. power thing this.
Okay, did you think about the cup?
The power thing did dog what is.
So that mind thinking about the cup is a conceptual consciousness.
That let our head off.
So that's pretty easy, right?
What did he show? Said the doors on that deal at dog what it, that dog what hatching like what is now.
Okay.
That dog waits in it, Daddy root is in the Shiri, Slora. Daddy did power it, or Daddy. 20 tangi now. Now the power that tangi and now the power money eating water.
Okay.
Power money is Zina, the double of she child. Power Mara.
Okay.
Oh, the power ina mena, there was some party best of Chidosity. That did double to Nichagor. That did power the Tobeta, Jessie of Chagorta. That did double the Yomangu Yungurabo. Chesa, Dajidi, power answer. Tunjidi, Toga now. You need to mix it or charge it.
This got so nang di tanchi.
Tunjidi, Dajidi, power monet. Dadun Laura, Dajis, Dajid,
Oh, Dratan. Okay.
Tunjisi do. And the Toga now.
So the nang di tanchi, you know, the talk with the art the
Pomonet is
somebody.
Pomonet is some teacher,
And the Dratan. The Dratan.
Oh,
Okay.
Dadun of Yom, Tunji.
Tanchi. Okay. Yeah.
Tunji now.
So, why do we say this is a conceptual consciousness, right? Well, it's here because it's a determinative knower that apprehends a sound generality and a meaning generality as suitable to be associated or mixed, which probably doesn't help very much, to be honest. But anyway, basically what happens is we have this thing called... what does he put it as here? A meaning generality, but generic image is probably a more user-friendly term, right? So we have what we call a generic image, which is what appears to this conceptual consciousness. So when you think about cup, it's not actually the cup, right? What you're thinking of. What you're thinking of is what's called a generic image of a cup, right? Generic image of cup. But the mind, the conceptual mind apprehending cup holds that generic image to actually be the cup, even though it's not, right? Because obviously your memory or whatever, generic image of the cup is not the cup. But when you think about a cup, you think you're thinking about it, the actual cup, right? So this is why it's said that these conceptual consciousnesses are mistaken, because the object that's appearing to them and the object they're apprehending are different. Right? So you can, however, have a conceptual consciousness that has some doubt, is this actually the cup or not? So that's kind of closer to the reality, but generally speaking, it's a mistaken consciousness.
Oh, that day, another the Yakuri, the Punjari lad, same now, session, you're the Taran la Lagore, Moneting on the Hago,
Right.
Media would do, that single chicks, room, and I did use the Yakuri Demares. Somewhere, what I know that, and the dog wig and now is the Dilla, Juja, the Yakuri, the Tujari, Dilla, they got it.
So why is this actually useful to know this? Well, because when we think about things, like think of things in terms of being good or bad, or a person being nice or not nice, or anything like that, we hold that to actually be the reality, right? The reality is, well, I mean, what that person is, we're just projecting that good or bad. It's just, but we hold it to be real, right? The actual situation could be something completely different, but we hold it. We have this whole story that we hold on to be reality, right? So this is how it actually becomes kind of useful to understand. So then we just circle around in our little story and wonder why things don't work out so well.
Small picture, each person a different picture, you know, and then they making all the
More stories.
yeah, I'm making small branch, you know, inside making lots of branches, you know, and then you see reality. Oh, nothing there. Understand reality, you know, nature. Emptiness, nature. You see your nature, reality, or nature, emptiness. You see, and you're holding in nature's complete different. I also, wow, what are you going to do? You know, then looks relaxed, big relaxed, then big relaxed, right?
So the conceptual is just what the mind holds and it perceives to think that something's going to be, but it's not actually that.
Okay, so did
Like so cup, like you can hold the idea of a cup. It's just what you think the cup looks like. It's not what it actually is.
okay.
That's right.
So did Tokbe Shepherd the Nangul the cup Nanto Sambala di cup di Daware, right? You know di cup di
Mare,
nani mana any cup
Taurus.
Daware, you know Nanzo ta or di cup di Dawa Yure, you know di cup di Dawa Yumare.
Really.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
did it. Dilla New
Okay, so we got two.
They talk about it.
Alright.
Chiki, Captain now, and she did Captain is Zimbina,
Yeah.
talk about the Loshiri.
Okay, so if the conceptual consciousness holds this generic image to be the cup, then that's a mistaken consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's one type.
다 Chiki or the Ina, Mena, Pechi, Cap Yinsamare, Sana, Co, Ina, Mena, Tenzong, so Devina, and it called now the Shana, called Zingio Marwa, called Lo Tunduchagor.
Okay. So if, however, there's a type of consciousness that has a sort of doubt that this thing that's appearing, oh, is it the cup, is it not the cup, there's that doubt there. So then it doesn't actually grasp it as a cup, right? Then it's like a non-mistaken consciousness because it hasn't actually grasped this appearance to be an actual cup.
Dilla Pejor, Pesha,
For example,
Kambajing Nala,
yeah.
Dear, Kambata, Kambako, Yomare,
Gikong Yumane.
Koyama.
Okay, so like in a room with no doors and no windows.
다 디나네 저 웨스 잡은 거로 웨스 캄바디나네 캄바디나네 웨스 잡은데 캄바디인데 세가든데 여러
Like Ekong, you know.
왜 우궁이요 우궁
Yeah,
우궁단에 마 웨리고 웨스
yeah,
웨스 잡은 거
yeah.
다 웨스 잡은데 릭지기 디 가르잖아 디나라 줄리리요 웨딩아 노브리스 노브 하고라 노브
Yeah, yeah.
럼부친
Yeah, I know.
럼부친 거왜 열어
Uh-huh.
그 럼부친 거왜 레팅 거
Oh, okay.
지게 디 캔도여라 캔도가 왜 레팅 거 메가 왜 왜 시작하다 다 미니기 지게 가르세레스나 디 노부요 다 디나 노부 왜 잡고도
Right,
지게 디나를 메여레샤 디
right.
강반데 나군나네 마왜 시작하는 거야
Okay.
지게 미지가 디나를 노부요 럼부친 거 왜래 지게 말에 디나를 메여레스
Okay.
짐버다
So, for example, if you have like a room with no doors and no windows, but some lights kind of coming in through tiny holes, right? There's two people in the room, and
outside room
two people outside
Outside
the room.
room.
So the light's coming from inside the
room,
house.
yeah.
Okay, sorry, wrong way. So the light's coming from inside the house with no doors. So these tiny holes, this little bit of light's coming through. There's two people outside the house, and they see the light. And one person thinks that this light's coming from like gems, right? And the other person thinks, oh no, it's not. It's coming from like a fire, a candle flame or something like that. That's where the light's. So there's two people perceiving the situation quite differently.
다디 고지 디장가라 디나라 메요
Right.
메다 다고 메진이데 다다차르와
Right.
누구 요마르와다 다 누구 진이데 로드 록시레다
Right.
디나 누구 요레스나 디 로드 록시레
It's just like sharing his candle or something. It's quite weird.
다 디나 캔도 저 마메 요나 마메 웨지나 딜로 튼디로하고
Right. Okay, so then when you open the door,
no door open the door
There's no door in the room.
well, if you. Okay, right. What did you say? If you. I don't know, you open it.
You've just ruined this
I
story.
know, right?
Just break the wall.
Yeah.
yeah
Alright, anyway, somehow you open it up.
Yeah,
With-
that's good.
okay.
Just open up. That's
Just
good.
open it up. Okay, there's no door. Fine. So you open it up, and then there's a candle there, right? So then you can say, okay, this person who believed it was a jewel was mistaken. Person who thought it was a candle is
No.
correct.
다 당기게 왜디 말매 말에 누구 말에 그 왜저러 샤니디 말매 말에 왜 말에
Right.
똑배 나와디 디나시 똑배 나와디
Yeah.
똑배 나와디 뭐네데 말에 이네 찌기 야야도나 메라고 찌라 메라
Okay.
누구라고요 말에 데 록시다 똑배 튕튕이 쳐와체
Right. So did Jepa do it?
제시 똑배 튕튕 록시 찍 튕튕 메디 찍디
예.
똑배디 먼저 똑배 나와디 이나 메나 어디 파워 이나 메나 상다다 아니 바바바바바 센 간단지로 이 값이라
Right.
그래
So
찍을 값이라고
basically, yeah. So what's happening is, like the jewel, like the candle, right, isn't actually the light or the fire. The fire isn't actually the light. What the people are perceiving is the light, but then they're inferring upon that, oh, there's a candle, or they're inferring, oh, there's jewels, right? So this is an inference that they then make, and one is like a correct inference, and one is a mistaken inference.
So how does that link in with conceptual?
Uh,
Are they both conceptual then?
Yeah, they're both consist. So
Both
then you could talk.
이가 똑바래
똑바래.
미니가 똑바래
Yeah, so both of them are
이나
conceptual.
그니게 왜디 나와디 니가 매 말에 너왜 말에 다 나와 찍야 왜디 대디 메라고 그래 찍네라고 말에 던던다
Right,
던던이
right. So based on the appearance, that both of these consciousness are conceptual. So based on what appears, one makes a valid inferential inference, right? So it's a conceptual inference. One's a valid inferential conception, and one's an invalid inferential conception, because one thinks it's fire and one thinks it's jewels.
다들 빼래 하고지 샤네 당저 똑바디 포바짐브레 와
Yeah,
다 똑바지기 포바디 미다버레스 템브레
right,
똑바지기 포바디 따버레스 템브레
right.
어딜 샤나 세고 샤다
Okay, so to give a more like direct explanation, so if you have the cup and you have two people looking at the cup, but one person thinks, oh, that cup's permanent, and the other one thinks that cup's impermanent. So one is a mistaken conception, and the other's a correct conception, unmistaken conception. Oh, you shouldn't put your feet.
다디 디어레
That's so good.
아 디어 가서래 일레벨 exercise
Stretching the motion.
yeah
Can I ask a question?
yeah
Is a determinative knower always a conceptual consciousness?
Determinative Noah.
가라
I'm
Are they
trying to-
interchangeable terms, or
Determinative Noah apprehended sound. I'm going to get the Tibetan here.
똑그래 똑바
in the book it was known before that you didn't do it last time. You know, in here, number 4 types of thing. Determinative.
똑베 신유스 그지래
I'm trying to find this Tibetan.
What for?
Talk.
I'm just wondering, we didn't. Is it always a conceptual consciousness? Is my question. Determinative knower. There were 4 types of knowers.
Shenrik?
아
What? So what was your question? Sorry, I got the Tibetan.
Is a determinative knower always a conceptual consciousness, and are those terms interchangeable?
Shenrik, you know. Tokpa Yimbe Kyab.
저요
Tokpa Yina Shenrik Yimbe
영어래
Kyab.
똑베는 시리에 차래 시리나 똑베에 차마
Okay, so Shenrik Yina Tokpa Yimbe Kyab.
맞아
Okay. So if it's a determinative knower, it's not necessarily a conceptual mind. But if it's a conceptual mind, it is necessarily a determinative knower. So there
단다디
are 3 possibilities.
시리스에 랑리 마이니 쉐와들 시리라고 랑리
Ran-
세월을 랑리요라 랑리
Ranrik,
랑리 참아세죠 랑리
okay.
랑리 마이니 쉐와 탐제 카치데게 쉐와 탐제를 시리라고 먼저 믹시데 시리 믹시데
Oh, okay.
이게 상마 시리를 당연히 가서 나시
So-
상마 시리를
Every consciousness that isn't a self-awareness, self-knower. Self-knower, that's the translation. So every consciousness that isn't a self-knower is a determinative consciousness. So the visual consciousness, eye consciousness, is a determinative knower.
신rik 세야 돼 통해서는 같이 되게 쉬어라고. 같이 되게 쉬어서 속당 자당 지당 로든데 유진이 딱과 유디진이 여러 봐. 똑과대 신rik 차고서는 그 딱과 나유 식으로 딱과.
Oh, okay.
믹시에 신rik 배고서는 속 치료 속 유디 제가 나유 유디 제가 인자. 그 신rik 같이 되게 쉬어야 되나 신rik. 칸난다 쉬어야 되나 라릭. 대한 계절로 갈래.
Okay, so I'll just get this. So, it's possible to know of impermanent and permanent phenomena. So anything so a conceptual consciousness can know of permanent phenomena, right? And a visual consciousness can apprehend impermanent phenomena. Dini di rangi kan di?
라릭스도 샤와 세리가 차치고 또 되는 메시신다 샤고.
Okay, so the self-knower only perceives mind, can only perceive mind. Ini rangrik di shenrik mara.
말해.
Okay,
Okay,
good
what
kara
is-
rangrik.
yeah,
Okay. So shenrik di chigi nobo gogi.
지금 뭐
Chigi che.
지금 저 유디 진행이 샤바들라 신rik.
Right. Okay.
나한테 샤바지고 유디 진행들라 랑릭.
Okay, so if it knows of if it apprehends any external phenomena, then it's a shenrig, a determinative knower. And if it's mind apprehending itself, mind apprehending mind, then it's known as a self-rangrig, self-awareness or self-knower. Yeah, we'll get to that a bit
Yeah.
later.
You don't know what it is next time. Just smash out. Just smash out.
Just smash it out. Let's see if we can smash this one out first.
One other question then.
Okay.
That I just asked that because it was on the sheet. Is the observed object condition of a conceptual consciousness is a generic image?
The observed object condition. The Miguel, Migkin of a conceptual consciousness.
It's on the sheet.
So the Tokpegi Miguel di Tonchi yin?
Migin, tobe migin.
Yeah,
Miguel, now you like migin.
Migkin.
tobe migin 되지 말아. tobe migin de pajar.
Okay. So
tobe migin
the
pajar.
observed object, it's actually on the handout. The observed object condition of a conceptual consciousness is the imprint, not the generic
Okay.
image.
And what's the difference between an imprint and a generic image?
The Bhakchak and the Tonchi Kipakariya.
그러 데 게임은 두제용으로 봐.
Okay, if it's a condition, it has to be a compositional phenomena.
아니 tobe now di tawa mesuji 샤요. tobe now you tawa mesu 샤도 마.
Yeah, so it cannot be permanent. Generic image is permanent. So the Tokpe Nangyu Tokpe Yumbe Makshap?
tobe now you di tawa. 아니 tobe migin tawa 많이 배죠.
Okay, so the appearing object to this conceptual consciousness is permanent, but the observed object condition of a conceptual consciousness has to be impermanent, so it can't be permanent, and therefore it's said to be the imprint.
다디 바자 샤고에 대 가르스나 디 믹시레.
Right.
이게 가서 믹시 따이 봐.
Okay.
미기 야고 따위나 디 파워 야고 튕그래. 미기 야고 마다는 파워 튕도 마. 세상 바자
Okay,
디
so
당긴 가서 믹 따이 봐. 믹
if
당긴 야고 따라서.
if you clearly see an object, then it creates like a tokpa.
또보다 바자 샤제
It
튕야.
creates like an imprint, a suitable imprint for a conceptual consciousness. If you don't see the object very clearly, then it doesn't create a clear imprint.
또보다 야고 깨도면 봐.
Yeah, it can't, and then you can't produce a clear conceptual consciousness relating to that object. But if you see something very clearly and well, then it creates a clear imprint that can arise a conceptual consciousness.
But that means it's rather like the mind-only view, but that means, so then we lead to what if we see things that we haven't got the imprint for?
So
Like,
dini
lots of new
di
stuff.
bakchak mena dini di ta kandita. Like if we see with our
Which is
eyes, or
which is
we
Yeah.
Observed object condition.
You give example.
for what? For which consciousness?
The observed object condition of a conceptual consciousness.
Right.
Like in a dream.
Dream laws influence.
Yeah. So you're saying in a dream we don't see anything that we haven't got the imprint for.
인지 통화 말해.
You know, jela ta. Yeah, maomba di ta. Maomba di sometimes di milam di maomba ta. Dini di bakchak yumana.
네. 마음에 일남 다해서 보라.
음.
마음에 일남 다해들 바자디 마음에 일남 지내가서 다그 바자 찾아오던데 연구로 와. 인지 지고 뒤뒤 다오던데 연구 바자 다오.
Okay, so I asked the question for a dream of the future, because he said last time that people could dream of the future, right? So for that, although we don't have an imprint of those actual events, it's the drawere cha.
네요. 벤나데
It's like a part imprint or a simile or something of an imprint.
그래서 벤데 샤나리.
Yeah.
단다 FM 8로지.
Yeah.
FM 8이 당불랩스나나 아니 딜 똑바디 바자가네 리그레스요.
Right.
FM 8이 당불 미지기 어디 FM 8이 다시 투로. 다시 샤베 바자디요.
Okay, okay.
이미 미 통마다 바자가 다시 샤베.
Okay.
바자요.
So, for example, like before the iPhone 8 comes out, nobody's seen it, right? Or maybe Steve Jobs has, but most normal people haven't seen it. What? Well, he's dead, but he was around for the iPhone 8, wasn't he? Oh, he died ages before that. Man, these iPhones move too fast for me. Anyway, okay, so whoever the CEO of Apple is now, right? But like, no, okay, let's assume nobody's seen it, right? But because people are talking about it, then from the sound of like people talking about it, you create some imprint, right? Like you create an imprint of what the iPhone 8 is gonna be.
Is that because you've seen the iPhone 7, 6, 5, so you
Well,
kind of have a rough idea of what's
Yeah, so the iPhone 7 ta dini di latini jawa the iPhone 8
이거
so.
말에 미지기 iPhone 7 열을 다들 거상 저랑 3년간 iPhone 7 써잘. 지글살. 지금 열. 지금 바자 샤자라고. 다들 거사지.
Yeah, just from the sound of people, like not necessarily, even if it's something not related to a previous model, from the sound of people describing something to you that you've never seen, you can create an imprint. Might not be 100% accurate, but you can create. You don't have to necessarily create that imprint of from seeing the visual form.
The example, another example very good for your friend conversation. Some parents say, I have another friend and I met London. He's very good or like that.
Yeah.
And he names John. And you making your mind already one John, good influence.
Yeah.
And then the next day you see John, your mind and real John, big difference. But you put this name, give their influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my mind, when I think about imprints and this example, I think about emotions and feelings, because if I see a cup, what I see, I like that cup or I don't like, or that cups make me feel happy, or and that's the kind is related, the imprint and the feelings, emotions.
Okay. So
Understand?
so the purpose or chalag samla tang na dini di nangwa tang di so nyamdu yong so tang emotion any feeling.
그 이모션도 소화들 나 가고 예배 소화 숙청부에나 대야를 야가요.
Right,
그냥 마고 예배 소화 숙청부에는 대야 야가요.
right.
이 가오면 마고면은 이 대야리 가고요.
Right.
다나리.
Yeah, these are linked because also like if you really like something, it creates a really strong imprint on the mind. If you really dislike something, it also creates a really strong imprint. If you're a bit like meh, then it creates a bit of a meh imprint on the mind, right?
어디? 단다 나라제 practice there. 이 맞아 teaching 지거라.
Right.
이전에 그 야구 녀나 파자 야구샤.
Yeah.
안 디젤에 야고 똑바디 야고 텐도
Right.
안데 저는 딜라 니디 상로 신다다나 야고
Yeah,
년도
yeah.
얘마더니 바자야고 샤
Yeah,
바자야마는 산이나지 미쳐나 아 하고 막 놀라 그래 이거지
So it's like if you're at the teaching tonight, right, and you listen really well, then this creates a strong imprint, right? And then tomorrow you'll be able to remember what was said. Whereas if you're thinking about all sorts of other nonsense, and you're kind of like, oh, I wonder what the iPhone 12 is going to be like. Then somebody asks you, oh, what do you should talk about? And you go, I don't know, right? So because you're not focusing, you don't create a very strong imprint on the mind.
어디래 다 디체다 내 뒤균에서 먼저 쌤이 바다에 가는 샤워를
Right. So you better smash your mind into the present, right? You better bring your mind into the present. Sorry.
This is adding in action, you know, just listening to I'm not listening, you talk yourself, I'm listening, and talking you with the friend, now I'm talking with my friend, you know, you're talking like that, you bring your energy, bring here, and then talking is more become powerful. And now I'm with a friend, the conversation, just talk. Then you, usually, do that, your friend, some conversation, yes, yeah, you know, sometimes, what do you say, you don't remember, you know, this is therefore the focusing any action you put a present moment, then less problem, less communication, you know. Otherwise, you have to go there, then conversation with your friend, communication sometimes go wrong, then problem come here. What do you say? Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't say like that. You already told it, you know, because your mind is go other side. I think this is very important. 다들 도박이 미견데 파자 지선 다 되게 상무단다 experience daily experience 상무단다 아니 냠뇨래요 뭐라 다들이셔 당연히 이제 그거가 액션이 가는 때 근데 저는 들어가다는데 지선 emotion 요 소유의 톤에 대비는 아니 파자야고 샤도고라 아니 포지티브 모저를
Right.
negative emotion should be charged and negative should be
Right. So you know we've got to relate and think about this to our own experience, like how we connect with things and how they create imprints and feelings on our mind. And if we have a very strong positive feeling towards an object, then check how does that create a very strong imprint on the mind, right? And also, you know, of course, if we have a very strong negative feeling towards something, also that creates a very strong imprint on the mind as well. So you need to actually check this and connect it with your own experience.
도배 미긴
Okay.
도배가 다겐데 이완이 이공고
Okay.
이 용고대 수준 담아셔 말이 이란 셔거든.
Okay. So then we get to the empowering condition of conceptual consciousness, which is the mind sense power. So the mind sense power is zuktrama yumanero. So it doesn't have any form. It's purely consciousness or purely mind.
다들 나서 파진 태과셔고 봐. 파진 태과가 이완이 파진 이 용고대 이란 셔. 이완이 이란 셈라.
Okay.
nga to la sha chu me do ba nga shi ki shi ma do yuan pa ji te la yuan di yi re
Pachintekpati.
yuan yi ong bu ji su ma re ta ga
Okay.
ba
So yeah, it says in the Paramita, Paramita Sutra. Sutra? Yeah, okay. So in the Paramita Sutra, it states that this mental sense power is purely consciousness.
다들 아니 대마다 게 알로 대마다 좀 아니 샤워라 그 이제 윤 샤워다
The Sheba Naloksa Chungwa. Okay.
샤워
Right, so the immediately preceding condition of a conceptual consciousness is the previous moment of mind.
다들 또 과시
So that's conceptual consciousness.
나 도고들라 도고록시
Right.
도고록시 해야 돼 당연히 언제 들었다 디 포바디 따고지나 예주 도고디 록시 가서는 도고 말해
Right.
당에 이제 포바디 미다고지나 예주 도고 튼들이
Okay, so did Trushe down Lokshe di
추시로가 추시디야 도고 튼들이 추시 도고 있는 추시 미차로
Right.
록시
Okay.
데 친줄로 주고지 말다
Okay, so we So I don't know how to translate. So there's a mistaken consciousness, and then there's an opposed lock, like an opposite consciousness, opposite conception.
Self-grasping though, self-grasping the
Yeah,
normal.
yeah, I'm trying to think. So, okay, so all conceptual consciousnesses are mistaken because we talked about the generic image, right? But then there's like an opposing one. So, a conceptual consciousness that holds this cup to be permanent is like an opposite conception, right? I don't know how else to say. No, dit sê koku dit jy true shit and lock shit in jy keep carry your yeah. What do you say for lock? No, it's both. They're both mistaken, but one's like seriously wrong, and one's a mistaken consciousness, one's a completely wrong consciousness. I'm going to use those for now. I'll look it up later to get a better translation. But so all conceptual consciousnesses are necessarily mistaken, but then there's like a completely incorrect one. For example, something that apprehends a cup to be permanent. That's a completely wrong consciousness, right? Whereas a mind that remembers a cup, just thinks of a cup, that's a mistaken consciousness because it's not relating to the object correctly. But then, like one that holds something to be something that it isn't, like a cup to be permanent, that's completely wrong consciousness. Or what did they call it there?
Mistaken consciousness and wrong consciousness.
Wrong consciousness. All right, we'll go with wrong consciousness.
Mistaken, very mistaken.
Well, true share mistaken consciousness, lock share wrong consciousness. Okay, that's good.
I think now is stop here. Today is really talking. Now you need the next discussion, the meeting, the mother again. And talk about the domain chawa. Talk about the domain chawa.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And talk away yawa.
Right. So, yeah, basically, like when the discussion we're going over this, like what's the observed objective condition, what's the empowering condition, what's the immediately preceding condition for different consciousnesses, what's the difference between a conceptual and non-conceptual. Maybe ignore the chart. Apparently that's not very accurate. But yeah, so to get some understanding, because if there's discussion, are we having one tomorrow or about this? Yeah. So there's a discussion tomorrow about this. So if you come along to that, try and get some understanding of what these different things are.
There was actually an experiment. I don't really remember. Maybe somebody knows. It was by a scientist. It's called the Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Schrodinger's candle when he was talking about the house.
Like the candles.
But nobody got it. I was like, oh.
Understand. Maybe next time. Better. It was the cat was
Okay.
in the box, and then so if you open the box, so as long as you don't open the box, the cat is alive or dead. Something.
No. Simultaneously, both alive and dead. Like once you open the box and you see the cat's dead
So it can be an
or
example
alive.
of this, right?
Oh, jeez, how am I going to explain Schrodinger's cat? Okay. That's the easy me. The Schrodinger's cat. Then he dilap gire. The shimi di gang nang la ro. And the gang nang la di shimi tatu ki mare ro. The chakki gang nang la tatu ki ne. Then the shimi di shimare hakogi mandu ro. And the go chena then tana then shimi shiri gire hakogi do mashina hakogi do. Di nyan la di mahakona then di shimi di shi tang mashi chikpa dunam yamdu ya then di Schrodinger's cat love get it.
Today, example, we can some box put in then some be autos different. Then there's good to the example. The shimi macho with the shana.
Yeah, but you can put anything in the
box.
thing, but yeah, I don't know whether it's the theory that it's simultaneously two things before the right. So it's similar to this example of the jewel and the flame,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's
You do some just example, someone put some box and the people guess, some people say, oh, this is medical or this pen or book, and reality is flower.
So what does that prove?
Projection.
I don't know. It's just a
mental-
theory.
mental projection. You're making
Yeah.
those things, you
Yeah,
know.
we're making it up,
This
just guessing.
is lost our lives, similar like that.
Yeah, they make associations.
If you're wrong, it's a mistaken conception, but if you're right, what is it?
No, all conceptions are mistaken conceptions, whether they're right or wrong.
With the
Wrong
candle
conception.
and jewels.
We
No,
get
wrong
you.
Any
Wrong
conception,
consciousness.
any conceptual consciousness is necessarily mistaken.
Yes. But what did you say then afterwards about the jewel and the flame thing when he figures out, oh,
As
it's
a
actually
valid
for
one.
valid?
Wrong, yeah, one's wrong.
One's correct, with one, they're all mistaken,
Yeah.
but one's right and one's wrong.
Valid.
Right.
I think you
Valid
use
or
Valid, yeah, valid or
Valid to
invalid.
the appearing
Yeah,
object.
Yeah, okay, let's use valid and invalid. I like that, right?
Yeah.
So-
That's not gonna work in valid and valid, that means different. Mistaken and that's a different one.
No, they're all mistaken, so we can't use mistaken. Can we use right or wrong then?
No,
I-
one's mistaken
one's valid and
one's
one's
wrong.
invalid.
That's what we were agreed on, and that's what.
No, they're all mistaken.
Yeah,
Every
but
conceptual
under-
consciousness.
see, underneath that, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of mistaken mind. Inferential, correctly assuming, doubting, and wrong. So
Yeah,
there's
but see,
many mistaken
A
minds.
correctly, so like a Japag sema, right? A valid conceptual consciousness. That's the word they use. Japag sema, sema.
Sema trishire.
Yeah, but the sema the
Tokwe no trishire bichara.
inferential valid cognition. They use valid cognition, so valid is fine.
But now
A Japag sema is an inferential valid cognition. So if you see smoke and you correctly infer there's fire, that's an inferential valid cognition. So this is the translation that's mostly used. So I'm going to stick with it.
But it's still mistaken, 'cause
It's
sometimes you don't know
yeah.
if it's fact.
So you have mistaken valid conceptions and you have mistaken invalid conceptions.
Right.
So do you understand the difference? Right? If it's a conceptual mind, it's necessarily mistaken because it relates to the object in an incorrect way.
Ta tokwe no trishire bichara.
Yeah.
Tase.
Yeah. So di gunsin karachini di
This
tushi.
is now the truth. Now you
Right,
truth.
yeah.
Now you.
Because it's mistaken to its appearance. Right? What it appears is mistaken towards what appears to it. Because we talked about the generic image, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's holding a generic image of something to be the actual object. That's why it's mistaken.
Ta di zina lokshi chare.
Right.
Now the re samna now shawana trushi chare. Zina
Yeah. But it
and lokshi chare.
so once it apprehends or holds that to be the cup, then it's a invalid conception, like a totally wrong, a wrong conception. But if it has doubt, oh, maybe it's the cup, maybe it's not, it's just mistaken at that point.
It's still valid with regard to its pairing object, though.
No, it's not.
Pairing objects are always valid to conceptual mind for their generic images. Anyway, let's not get into the terminology.
Now next you do a discussion, okay?
I think we have a different understanding of the word
You
valid.
have tomorrow discussion. And next Wednesday, Anthony, you do more discussion. Another more. I think those two more make clear. I think it's good. You discussion is very good. And then I think discussion making clear. You know? And sometimes you talk, and each person give example of different.
But it's
making
just
it
our
clear.
conceptual mind discussing, then so mistaken.
Yeah, but we have to use it, it's what we've got.
I
We
know.
have to use it.
This is a very important important topic. If you understand those things, your hand has a big key, or you call it key, open close door. Then you see those different
The
things.
master key.
Huh?
The master key.
Master key. Master key, yeah. Gold key, silver key, brown key, wooden key, and glass key.
We need brain key,
And
mind key,
this number, no, 100,
pen pad, biddy biddy biddy, password.
Password. Now iPhone, 12 iPhone coming.
No, I think we're up to iPhone X. I don't know. They
Just 10.
But didn't they? Didn't they? They skipped 9, so
Yeah.
it's actually 9 just became X.
Where did 9 go?
Oh, what happened to 9? I don't know.
Nothing much, just name.
Maybe Steve Jobs has got it like
Maybe camera had a better
In the
proof.
future, they will go back.
No,
backwards, back to 9.
Making PO, making Monday, making show the desire, wanting,
Yeah.
then we 9, then, oh, no.
Yeah, they come out with another one every like 6 months.
The cursed number for them.
Huh?
They won't be
iPhone 13.
13 is the cursed number for them.
They gotta stop. They can't keep making so many, right?
I think,
What they do?
I
iPhone.
think, I told you her iPhone 8, it was 120. This is my iPhone 8. Did not need to pay money.
Yeah.
All the time I use iPhone 8. It was 120. This is my iPhone 8. Maybe iPhone 10 is maybe 37.
Because you love Tampa's iPhone, eh?
Yes. This is best iPhone.
That's great. Does it practice patience for you? Lots of patience.
And because less stress and less worry, best iPhone is. And you spend lots of money making stress, making more. Yeah, let me stop here. That's good.